I am standing in front of my father's house after 4 long years of complete silence. My hands are trembling as I hold the keys to my Tesla Model 3, but my heart is steady with determination. The last words he said to me still echo in my mind like a broken record. She's a doctor and you are just a Target cashier. Today, I am not the same broken 22-year-old girl who walked away from his dinner table. Today, I am coming back to show him exactly what this Target cashier became. Before I share what happened that day and how I completely turned my life around, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Trust me, you will not believe how this confrontation changed everything. Let me take you back to where it all started. I was 22 years old working as a cashier at Target in Austin, Texas. I had been scanning barcodes and folding red polo shirts for 8 months, and honestly, I did not mind it one bit. Every morning at 5:30 a.m., I would put on my red uniform clip on my name tag that read, Phoebe, and drive my beat-up Honda Civic to work. My shift ran from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., which was perfect because it gave me time for my night classes at Austin Community College. I was studying business administration, dreaming of opening my own little coffee shop someday. Every dollar I made went toward rent for the tiny apartment I shared with my roommate Jasmine tuition and my coffee shop savings jar that sat on my kitchen counter. The work itself was not glamorous, but I found joy in the small interactions. There was Mrs. Rodriguez, who came in every Tuesday with her twin toddlers, always buying the same brand of diapers and organic baby food. There was elderly Mr. Franklin, who insisted on paying with exact change and always asked about my studies. These people made my days meaningful even when my feet ached from standing on concrete floors for 8 hours. My relationship with my father, Robert, was complicated but important to me. He was 52, worked as an insurance agent, and had been dating Amanda for about a year after divorcing my mother 3 years prior. Amanda was 35 and worked as a pediatric nurse at Austin Children's Hospital. She seemed nice enough, though I always felt like I was being measured against some invisible standard whenever we spent time together. Dad and I had our routine. Every other Sunday, I would drive to his house in the suburbs for dinner. He would grill chicken or fish, we would talk about work and school, and I would leave feeling like we were slowly rebuilding our relationship after the divorce chaos. That particular Sunday in March started like any other. The Texas sun was setting behind Dad's backyard oak trees as I pulled into his driveway. Amanda's silver Prius was already there, which meant she had just finished another 12-hour shift at the hospital. I knocked on the familiar front door, adjusting the small bouquet of flowers I had picked up from the grocery section at Target with my employee discount. Phoebe. Dad opened the door with his usual bear hug. Amanda just got home. She saved 3 kids today. Come hear about it. The house smelled like his signature barbecue sauce and Amanda's lavender perfume. She was sitting at the kitchen island, still in her scrubs, looking exhausted but radiant in that way healthcare workers do after a successful day. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she had that satisfied expression of someone who had made a real difference in the world. "Tell Phoebe about the baby with the fever," Dad said as he handed me a glass of sweet tea. Amanda's face lit up as she recounted how she had caught a dangerous infection in a 6-month-old that the emergency room had almost missed. "The parents were so grateful," she said. "They said I saved their baby's life." "That's incredible," I said, and I meant it. "You must feel amazing knowing you make such a difference every day." Dad beamed with pride as he flipped the chicken on the stove. "This woman has a brilliant mind, Phoebe. She is out there saving lives while most people are just existing." I tried to contribute to the conversation by sharing a funny story about a customer who had tried to return a used Halloween costume in March, claiming it was defective. Dad chuckled politely, but I could sense his attention drifting. When Amanda talked about her work, his whole demeanor changed. He leaned in, asked follow-up questions, and treated her words like they were pieces of gold. As we sat down to eat, the conversation naturally flowed toward my future plans. I mentioned that I was thinking about taking additional business management courses and maybe looking into small business loans for my coffee shop idea. You know, Phoebe, Dad said, cutting his chicken with deliberate precision, you need to be realistic about your future. Something in his tone made my stomach drop. Amanda shifted uncomfortably in her chair. What do you mean? I asked. Dad gestured toward Amanda. Look at Amanda here. She is saving children's lives every single day. She went through years of rigorous education, passed incredibly difficult exams, and now she makes a real impact on the world. He turned back to me, and I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Disappointment, shame. Amanda is a doctor, and you are just a Target cashier. Maybe you should consider something more stable, more realistic for someone in your position. The words hit me like a physical blow. The fork in my hand suddenly felt impossibly heavy. Amanda's face went pale and she immediately tried to backtrack. Robert, that's not fair, she said quickly. Phoebe is working hard and going to school. There's nothing wrong with retail work. But the damage was done. I sat there for what felt like hours, but was probably only 30 seconds processing what my father had just said. In his mind, I was not just working at Target. I was just a Target cashier. Just. The word echoed in my head like a curse. I understand, I said quietly, setting down my fork. I should probably head home. I have an early shift tomorrow. I hugged them both goodbye, thanked Dad for dinner, and walked to my car with as much dignity as I could manage. It was not until I was sitting in the Target parking lot 20 minutes later that I finally let myself cry. That night changed everything. I sat in my little Honda Civic under the fluorescent lights of the 24-hour Walmart next to Target, sobbing until my chest ached. Jasmine was working a late shift at the restaurant where she waited tables, so I had nowhere to go but home to an empty apartment and my own thoughts. When I finally got home at almost 11 p.m., I sat on my secondhand couch and stared at my coffee shop savings jar. It had about $347 in crumpled bills and loose change. In that moment, it looked pathetic. My dreams looked pathetic. Maybe Dad was right. Maybe I was just a Target cashier with unrealistic expectations. Jasmine came home around midnight and found me still sitting in the same spot staring at nothing. What happened? She asked immediately, sitting beside me. When I told her about dinner, about Dad's words, about the look in his eyes, she was furious. Phoebe, you need to call him right now and tell him how messed up that was, she said. He is your father. He should be supporting your dreams, not crushing them. But something had shifted inside me during those 20 minutes in the parking lot. I was not going to call Dad to explain how his words had hurt me. I was not going to beg for his approval or try to make him understand my worth. Instead, I was going to show him. I am not calling him, I said quietly. What do you mean? I mean I am done. I am not calling him. I am not texting him. I am not going to Sunday dinners. I am going radio silent until I can prove that this Target cashier can become something he never imagined. 3 days later, Dad called. Then he called again. He left voicemail saying he was sorry that he had spoken without thinking that Amanda had given him a piece of her mind about his comments. I listened to every message, but I never called back. The decision to cut contact was not about punishment. It was about protection. I needed space to transform myself without his doubt poisoning my progress. I needed to become someone new without the weight of his disappointment holding me down. Within a week, I had bought my first online course. It was a $50 digital marketing program on Udemy that promised to teach me how to build an online business from scratch. I used money from my coffee shop jar, figuring that if I was going to invest in any dream, it might as well be one that could start immediately. I spent every evening after my Target shift and every moment between classes learning about affiliate marketing, social media strategy, and content creation. I taught myself basic HTML and CSS using free YouTube tutorials. I created an Instagram account focused on productivity tips and working student life hacks. My first 50 followers were friends from community college, coworkers from Target, and a few random people who found my content through hashtags. I posted daily about time management, budget-friendly productivity tools, and motivation for people working multiple jobs while pursuing their education. The learning curve was steep. I made countless mistakes, posted content that got zero engagement, and questioned my sanity at least once a week. But every time doubt crept in, I remembered Dad's words and the look in his eyes. That memory became my fuel. After 2 months of consistent posting and learning, I made my first affiliate commission. It was $47 from a productivity planner company, and I literally screamed when I saw the notification. Jasmine thought I had won the lottery. By month 4, I had 1,200 Instagram followers and was making about $300 a month in affiliate commissions. It was not life-changing money, but it proved that I could build something from nothing. I started a blog called The Working Student Chronicles, where I shared detailed posts about balancing work, school, and side hustles. I wrote about everything from meal prep for busy schedules to studying techniques for night classes after 8-hour shifts. The blog started getting organic traffic from Google searches, and my Instagram grew to 15,000 followers. Target became more flexible with my schedule as I proved I could handle fewer hours while maintaining excellent performance. I dropped down to 25 hours a week, giving me more time to focus on content creation and my online business. The breakthrough moment came at the end of my first year of content creation. I posted a TikTok video titled Day in My Life as a Working Student Building an Online Business. It was simple, me waking up at 5 a.m., getting ready for Target, working my shift, coming home to study, then spending 3 hours on my laptop building my business. The video exploded. 800,000 views in 48 hours. My Instagram gained 10,000 followers in 1 week. Suddenly, real brands were reaching out. Notion wanted me to promote their productivity software. Skillshare offered me a partnership. Audible wanted me to promote audiobooks for busy students. That month, I made $3,200. I stared at my laptop screen, refreshing my bank account over and over to make sure it was real. In 1 month, I had made more than I typically made in 2 months at Target. The next week, I put in my 2 weeks' notice. My manager, Sarah, was genuinely sad to see me go. "You have been one of our best employees," she said. "Whatever you are doing, keep it up. You are going to do amazing things." Walking out of Target for the last time felt surreal. I was no longer a Target cashier. I was an entrepreneur. Years 2 and 3 were when everything truly accelerated. I moved out of the apartment I shared with Jasmine and into a 1-bedroom place closer to downtown Austin. I invested in proper equipment, a good camera, professional lighting editing software, and a dedicated workspace. My content strategy evolved from simple tips to comprehensive educational material. I launched my first digital course, From 9 to 5 to Online Success, which taught people how to build profitable side hustles while working full-time jobs. The course launch brought in $50,000 in revenue during the first month. The success felt surreal, but I did not let it go to my head. I reinvested most of the money back into my business, hiring a virtual assistant to help manage my social media and a graphic designer to create professional course materials. I created a membership community called the Side Hustle Society, where I provided monthly training templates and one-on-one support for people building their own online businesses. Within 6 months, I had 2,000 paying members at $29 per month. The math was simple but mind-blowing. 2,000 members times $29 equaled $58,000 in monthly recurring revenue. After expenses, I was consistently making between $15,000 and $25,000 per month. I bought my first house, a modest 3-bedroom in the suburbs, nothing fancy but completely mine. I remember the day I got the keys, sitting in my empty living room and thinking about how Dad would react if he could see me now. But my education was not just about business. I enrolled in the University of Texas Online Business Administration program, determined to get the degree I had always wanted. Balancing a rapidly growing business with university coursework was challenging, but I maintained a 3.9 GPA and made the dean's list for 4 consecutive semesters. During my junior year, I did a remote internship with a tech startup in California working on their content marketing strategy. My supervisor was impressed enough to offer me a full-time position after graduation, though I politely declined. I was building something bigger than any job could offer. I found mentors in unexpected places. Rebecca Martinez, a successful female entrepreneur who had built and sold 2 companies, became an informal advisor after we connected at a virtual conference. She taught me about scaling hiring and long-term strategic planning. Success is not about proving people wrong, she told me during one of our monthly calls. It is about proving yourself right. By the end of year 3, I had expanded into one-on-one coaching at $500 per session. I was booked solid for months in advance with clients ranging from corporate employees looking to transition to entrepreneurship to college students wanting to build income streams. Year 4 was when everything clicked into place. I wrote an ebook called The Side Hustle Blueprint, which became a bestseller in the business and entrepreneurship category on Amazon. I was invited to speak at South by Southwest about entrepreneurship and the gig economy. The Forbes 30 Under 30 recognition for the Austin area came as a complete surprise. When they called to tell me I had made the list, I was sitting in my home office wearing pajama pants and editing a YouTube video. The irony was not lost on me. My annual revenue crossed $400,000. I had a team of 4 people, my virtual assistant, who had become my operations manager, a graphic designer, a video editor, and an accountant. My business was no longer just me creating content in my bedroom. It was a real company with real employees and real impact. But success brought unexpected emotions. There were moments when I wanted to call Dad and share my achievements. When I spoke at SXSW, when I made my first 6-figure month, when I bought my house. The silence I had maintained for almost 4 years sometimes felt heavier than the original hurt. Jasmine, who had remained my closest friend throughout everything, would occasionally update me on Dad's life. She had stayed in touch with our mutual family friends and knew that Dad and Amanda had broken up about a year after our last dinner. She also mentioned that Dad's insurance business had struggled during COVID and that he often talked about being proud of his daughter's success to anyone who would listen. "He knows what you have accomplished," Jasmine told me one evening over dinner. "Our cousin Maya said he shows people articles about you and brags about your business." "But he has never called to apologize directly," I replied. "Maybe he does not know how," she said gently. I spent months wrestling with whether to reach out. Part of me wanted to maintain the silence until he made the first move toward a real apology. Another part of me missed my father and wanted to share this chapter of my life with him. The decision came on a random Tuesday morning in April. I was drinking coffee in my home office looking at a photo on my desk from my college graduation. It was just me and Jasmine celebrating my business degree with highest honors. Dad should have been in that photo. I realized that my success was not just about proving him wrong anymore. It was about building the life I wanted, and that life felt incomplete without him in it. I did not call ahead. I wanted the element of surprise, wanted to see his genuine reaction when he realized who his daughter had become. I dressed professionally, but not ostentatiously, a black blazer, dark jeans, and the leather laptop bag that had become my signature accessory. The drive to Dad's house felt both familiar and foreign. I had not been on his street in 4 years, but muscle memory guided me through every turn. His house looked smaller than I remembered, and the landscaping needed attention. Dad's truck in the driveway looked older, more worn. I sat in my Tesla Model 3 for 5 minutes gathering my courage. In my laptop bag, I had printed copies of articles written about me, screenshots of my social media metrics, and financial statements showing my business revenue. not because I needed to prove anything, but because I wanted him to understand the full scope of what had happened during our silence. When I knocked on his door, the sound of footsteps inside made my heart race. The door opened and Dad stood there looking older than his 56 years. His hair had more gray, and there were lines around his eyes that had not been there before. Phoebe. His voice was barely a whisper. Hi, Dad. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then his eyes filled with tears and he stepped back to let me inside. The house felt different. The furniture was the same, but there was a heaviness in the air, a sense of things left unsaid for too long. Amanda's touches were gone. No medical journals on the coffee table, no lavender scent, no framed photo of them together on the mantel. I cannot believe you are here, he said, his voice thick with emotion. We need to talk, I said simply. We sat on the same couch where I used to curl up and watch football games with him when I was little. I pulled out my laptop and showed him everything. The website I had built, the social media accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers, the course sales, the speaking engagements, the Forbes recognition. Dad's expression shifted from shock to amazement to something I could not quite identify. Shame, maybe, or regret. You built all of this? He asked, scrolling through my Instagram account. I built all of this, I confirmed. In 4 years, starting with $50 and a dream that you said was unrealistic. He was quiet for a long time, reading testimonials from my course students, watching videos of me speaking at conferences, looking at photos of me receiving awards and recognition. Phoebe, He started, then stopped. You what? I was wrong. I was completely, utterly wrong. His voice broke. I thought I was protecting you from disappointment, but I was really just projecting my own fears and limitations onto your dreams. He told me about the pressure he had felt growing up to pursue traditional markers of success, how his parents had pushed him toward stable careers and conventional paths. He talked about his own abandoned dreams and how seeing my ambition had triggered his own sense of failure. When I compared you to Amanda, I was not really comparing your jobs, he said. I was comparing what I thought were safe choices versus risky ones. But I realize now that the biggest risk would have been not pursuing your dreams. We talked for 3 hours. I told him about the pain of those first months, about the determination that had driven me through countless late nights, about the moments when I had almost given up. He shared his own struggles, the business challenges during the pandemic, the regret that had eaten at him every day since our last dinner, the pride he felt watching my success from afar, while being too ashamed to reach out. I have told everyone who will listen about my daughter, the entrepreneur, he said, but I was too much of a coward to tell you directly how proud I am. The healing was not instant, but it was real. We agreed to take things slowly to rebuild our relationship with honesty and mutual respect. Dad became one of my biggest supporters, helping me network within his business community and even taking some of my online courses to better understand digital marketing for his insurance agency. I helped him modernize his business, implementing some of the strategies I had learned about online presence and customer relationships. Within 6 months, his revenue had increased by 30%. Our Sunday dinners resumed, but they were different now. We talked as equals, as two adults who had both learned hard lessons about judgment dreams and the courage required to pursue unconventional paths. The most powerful moment came 8 months after our reunion. Dad called me on a Tuesday evening, excited about something. Phoebe, you will never guess what happened today, he said. What? I was having lunch with my old colleague Jim, and he was complaining about his daughter wanting to start some kind of online business instead of getting a real job. And you know what I told him? What did you tell him? I told him that my daughter started as a Target cashier and built a $400,000 business by believing in herself when everyone else told her to be realistic. I told him that the most unrealistic thing his daughter could do would be to ignore her entrepreneurial instincts. 4 years ago, my dad saw a Target cashier. Today, he sees his daughter, who built an empire from scratch. But the most important thing I learned was not about proving him wrong. It was about proving to myself that my dreams were worth fighting for. The silence taught me that sometimes we have to step away from the people who cannot see our potential in order to discover it for ourselves. The reunion taught me that forgiveness is not about forgetting the hurt, but about choosing love over resentment. Whatever anyone says about your current situation, remember this: it is not where you start, it is where you refuse to give up. Every expert was once a beginner. Every success story started with someone who was willing to bet on themselves when nobody else would. Your current job title does not define your potential. Your current bank account does not determine your worth. Your current circumstances are not your final destination. Take it from someone who went from scanning barcodes to building a business empire. The only opinion that truly matters is the one you have of yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had someone dismiss your dreams or make you feel like your goals were unrealistic? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below, because your experience could inspire someone else who needs to hear it today. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life transformation stories. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that their current situation is not their final destination. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, the best revenge against doubt is undeniable success. Keep believing in yourself, keep working toward your dreams, and never let anyone convince you that you are just anything. You are capable of extraordinary things.